G'day, folks, and welcome. Thanks for joining me. Look, we've been waiting a long time for this, but we've finally got that UAP report from 2022. It's been a few months waiting, and it's finally come. So, but look, guys, welcome to the new year. I hope everyone's had a great holiday season, and welcome to 2023. So, look, I thought I'd join you here tonight and try and get into this UAP report. I haven't really read it myself yet, but I figured why not just go and read it as I go along now and sort of give my thoughts along as I read it to you. So. Bear with me, guys. There, I'll read through this here, and we'll get cracking into it. So basically, we've got the unclassified version here from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the 2022 Annual Report on Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Jesus, tongue twister. Basically, got the table of contents there and an executive summary, and I'll just read through this there, and I'll give you a bit of my opinions there as we go along there, and see how we go. So basically, the unidentified aerial phenomena UAP reporting is increasing, enabling a greater awareness of the airspace and increased opportunity to resolve UAP events. In addition to the 144 UAP reports during the 17 years of UAP reporting, included in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, preliminary assessments, there have been 247 new reports and another 119 that were either since discovered or reported after the preliminary assessment time period. This totals 510 UAP reports as of 30th of August 2022. Additional information is provided in the classified version of this report. Basically, we won't get that one, unfortunately. But saying that 17 years of the UAP reporting, which makes me sort of think that we might not be getting anything in regards to anything that's prior to the 17 years. So I think that's quick, I think about 2005, 2006, something like 17 years. So anything prior to that, we won't be getting any information in regards to any sort of UAP or UFO reports or evidence in that nature. At least that's my opinion on that. I don't think we're going to get any on that regard, which is unfortunate because we might not be getting any more information about the Nimitz, the Tic Tac UFO, which happened in 2004. We might get something there. It's from the Go Fast. I think that was about 2014, 2016, or 2015. Around that time, I think that's sort of about nearly 10 years ago now. So to go without saying, I don't think we're going to get much information in regard. Like I said, if people want information from Roswell or a report in that regard, well, I don't think we're going to get anything at all, or any other sort of UFO incidences that have made sort of the hot topic there over the years before 2005 or 2006. That's bit sucky in my opinion. Hopefully we can sort of try and keep pushing to get the information released, unclassified versions. But for me, I feel like this is just them saying we're not going to be investigating anything prior to the 17 years of since the European reporting for themselves. But also saying that 510 UAP reports, that's quite a fair bit. It also goes like, what's the nature of these crafts or objects that these military personnel are seeing? So, anyway, we'll crack onto this there. So it makes you wonder what they are seeing. Aero and Odney assess that the observed increase in the UAP reporting rate is partially due to a better understanding of the possible threats that UAP may represent, either as a safety or flight hazard or as a potential adversary collection platforms, and partially due to the reduced stigma surrounding UAP reporting. This increased reporting allows more opportunities to apply rigorous analysis and resolve events. So, which is good. They're actually understanding that there is a stigma attached to this whole thing there. So, which then gives a bit more flexibility for pilots or any of the military personnel to report anything of a strange nature in that sense. That's my understanding to that. Which I also hope that in that case too, that there'll be a bit more credibility taken to pilots that are reporting these things there, and if the those in the past who have lost their careers due to reporting something of a UAP nature there have lost their jobs. I hope the military or whoever they were employed by, sort of get some sort of accountability in regards to their careers, because everyone gets called the nutcase, or your mentality gets questioned. So which is good that they're actually recognizing the stigma, and they're easing up on the whole mentality sort of things that just start calling people crazy. So which is good. But I just hope there's going to be a bit more coming out of this in regards to people's livelihoods that have been impacted by this. So let's crack into this a bit more. So the establishment of the Department of Defense, DoD, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, should facilitate more coordinated UAP efforts, resulting in greater attribution of UAP. While limited data on UAP continues to be a challenge, the establishment of AERO, with its broad scope of authorities and responsibilities, and its replacement of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, will allow for increased coordination of efforts against the UAP problem set. AERO's authorities ensure that UAP detection and identification efforts will span across DoD and relevant interagencies partners, as well as the intelligence community, with the support and coordination of the National Intelligence Manager for Aviation. NIM Aviation and AERO's coordination efforts will improve US government's awareness of objects in the airspace and resolution of UAP events. See Appendix B. I'm not exactly sure what NIM Aviation is. Hang on, National Intelligence Manager for Aviation. So yeah, okay. In that regard, I sort of feel like, okay, that's great they're working in their own departments here, but I sort of feel like they need to start working in along with, you know, the public domain, where it comes like the, you know, what am I thinking of? You know, oh, geez, what is it? I can't think now. Yeah, air companies, like planes, pilots and that from the public domain, you know, like flight companies, you know, they have pilots that are reporting strange sightings as they're cruising along, you know, as they're flying passenger airways, you know, they are reporting things. So they should be seeing what they're coming, or, you know, what reports are being reported from pilots from a public domain in that sense, whether it's, you know, yeah, from flight companies basically. But look, I'm going to keep going here because I'm starting to lose myself here. Anyway, UAP events continue to occur in restricted or sensitive airspace, highlighting possible concerns for safety of flight and adversary collection activity. We continue to assess that this may result from a collection bias due to the number of active aircraft and sensors, combined with focused attention and guidance for the report anomalies AERO in conjunction with NIM Aviation, and the IFC will continue to investigate any evidence of possible foreign involvement in UAPs. So again, I sort of feel like they do need to go and start looking into the public domain where pilots are actually reporting these anomalies, or, you know, something that's of that nature, and sort of get a better idea of what everyone else is seeing, instead of it being in a, as I mentioned, a sensitive or restricted airspace, because people are not just seeing these things in these sensitive areas. It's happening worldwide, and I feel like they need to start getting a broader aspect, even if it's their own country. I don't care. They need to start getting a bit more of a public domains and opinion on what things are actually being seen. But anyway, look, that's only my opinions. I can only give my thoughts, the whole thing. Whether or not they want to do the whole damn thing or not, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I hope that they are actually looking into the public domains on that side of things, and actually taking it seriously instead of just from their own personnel. So scope and assumptions. Okay, so scope. This annual report is provided by ODNI in response to a requirement established in Section 1683 of the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, for financial year 2022, establish of office, organizational structure, and authorities to address unidentified aerial phenomena. Subsection H of that section states the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense, shall submit the appropriate congressional committees a report on unidentified aerial phenomena, see Appendix A. In addition to responding to the requirement elements delineated in the NDAA, this report details the establishment and coordinating efforts between ODNI and the newly created DoD AERO. This report provides an overview of policymakers of UAP that have been reported since the 5th March 2021, information cutoff date for ODNI's preliminary assessment on UAPs. Published 25th June 2021 per the NDAA, and AERO delivers quarterly reports on UAP to policymakers that contain greater detail regarding analysis and attribution of UAP events. So basically we should be getting one every quarter year, as it says. So I think that should be about April or something like that. But we waited for months to get this one that was due. So who knows when we will get the next one. But that also depends on if that's going to be released to the public as well in those quarterly analysis. So I guess we'll wait and see. This report was drafted by ODNI's NIM Aviation in conjunction with Aero. It includes input from the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, the National Reconnaissance Office, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the National Security Agency, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Marine Corps, the U.S. Air Force, the Federal Aviation Administration. So there you go. They've got actually do have a public domain there. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric and the Department of Energy, ODNI Emerging and Disruptive Technologies, National Counterintelligence and Security Center, and ODNI National Intelligence Council. Okay, so there's quite a fair bit there of these domains that they're in conjunction with there, so that's good. And as I was mentioning there, I was hoping that they are looking into the public domain there in regards to the aerial aspect. Anyway, the assumptions. Multiple factors affect the observation or detection of UAPs, such as weather, illumination, atmospheric effects, or the accurate interpretation of sensor data. Regarding review or analysis of UAP events, ODNI and Aero operate under the assumption that UAP reports are derived from the observer's accurate recollection of the event and or sensors that generally operate correctly and capture enough real data to allow initial assessments. However, ODNI and Aero acknowledge that a select number of UAP incidents may be attributed to sensor irregularities or variances, such as operator or equivalent error, which is basically just saying that that what they thought might have been is not it. So as a lot of sightings that come through, a lot of it is misidentification. Something like as simple as a star or a balloon, because things look weird. We're not used to seeing weird things in the sky, so we generally just assume that's something that we don't understand. And so basically that's what they're saying. They're not. Well, some people are yes, professionals or people of a high regard in the military. Look, we're human. We make mistakes. We can make assumptions on something that we don't understand because we're making a quick assumption. But there are also those that are actually something, they see something that defies the logic. So and if they've got the sensors there to go and help back that up, then yeah, by all means. So hopefully we can get something more a bit more solid on that sort of data there. That's the one that we want. That has the actual backup data to sort of really help bring light into what people are actually, all these people are actually seeing. So anyway, we'll go through there. So the FY 2022 expands to the definition of UAP to include air, sea, and transmedium objects, and this report maintains that nomenclature. What the hell does that mean? Maintains a nomenclature during the transition phase and stand up for of Aero. Sorry, that's just a little bit of a note that was at the bottom of the page here. Anyway, that's a really weird name, nomenclature. I have to go and Google what that means. Anyway, so continuing, governmental changes to manage the UAP issues. So establishment of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, Aero, the Deputy Secretary of Defense Director of the USD, to establish an office with sufficient scope, authorities, responsibilities, and capabilities to continue the UAPTF, that's the UAP Task Force, efforts and meet the expanded criteria. Aero was established as the UAPTF successor unity on 20th July 2022. Per its mandate, Aero as the authority to coordinate UAP efforts efforts beyond DoD, and is authorized to develop processes and procedures to synchronize and standardize collection, reporting, and analysis throughout not just DoD but the IC as well. With the support and coordination of NIM Aviation, Aero will coordinate with other non-IC agencies such as the FAA and NASA, NOAA, and the non-IC elements of the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Energy, as appropriate. The broad scope of authority granted to Aero should enable them to leverage a multi-agency whole-of-government approach to understanding, resolving, and attributing a UAP to the future. So ODNI coordinating with Aero and multi-agency partners seeking opportunities to assist in collection, reporting, and analysis of UAP incidents across the IC. So since the June 2021 publication of ODNI's preliminary assessment on UAP, ODNI has developed strategic guidance to enhance further collection, which Aero and ODNI will leverage to prepare collection and report on UAP in a comprehensive manner for the IRC, NIM Aviation, which will remain the IRC's focal point for UAP issues, while Aero is the DoD focal point for these issues and related activities, I should say. Aero will represent DoD to the Interagency Congress, media, and public in coordination with the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Legislative Affairs and the Assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs. Aero's mission and responsibilities are contained in Appendix B. So, continued reporting and robust analysis are providing better fidelity on UAP events, but many cases remain unsolved. So just on that, I'm not sure if we were further down the report there, but obviously they're going through all these different agencies there to help sort of come up with what these UAPs are and try and get some sort of identification, whether they be from a defensive manner or an adversary in that nature. But it sort of makes me wonder, like, why they're not mentioning any allies being involved in any of this. Like, I know Australia has a major issue for even mention of UAPs or even UFOs in that regard, and have no interest in it. I know the UK has no interest in it, about the same as well. We've got our head in the sand there and avoiding the whole thing altogether and just letting the Americans run this. But for some reason, there's no mention of the allies to help manage the issues. As far as I'm aware, this is a worldwide issue, not just an American issue. So why are they not mentioning any of their allies to help manage the UAP issue? So, look, anyway, we'll crack on into this. So continued reporting and robust analysis are providing better fidelity on UAP events, but many cases remain unresolved. UAP reporting. The ODNI preliminary assessment on UAP discussion 144 UAP reports and had an information cutoff date of 5th March 2021. Since then, Aero received a total of 247 new UAP reports, an additional 119 UAP reports on events that occurred before 5th of March 2021 but were not included in the preliminary assessment, have been discovered or reported after the preliminary assessment time period. These 366 additional reports, then combined with the 144 reports identified in the preliminary assessment, bring the total UAP reports catalogue to date to 510 reports in total, basically. Since its establishment in July 2022, Aero has formulated and started to leverage a robust analytic process against identified UAP reporting. Once completed, Aero's final analytic findings will be available in their quarterly reports to policymakers. Aero's initial analysis and characterizations of the 366 newly identified reports, informed by a multi-agency process, judged more than half as exhibiting unremarkable characteristics. So 26 characterized as unmanned aircraft systems, UAS or UAS-like entities. So I'm guessing that's drones, basically. So there's 26 of those where they think they might be drones in that nature. They've got 163 characterized as balloon or balloon-like entities. I think that's just maybe like plastic bags, birds, or something of that nature where that looks weird from a distance, but from a different perspective, like then they go, no, what's that? It could be something, and yeah, basically. As I was mentioning before, the things are easily mistaken, and from different perspectives, our mind can assume certain things until we make a critical analysis of it and try and get a better understanding of it. but half the time we don't find out what they are regardless. But it's just more rule of the rule of elimination. So basically, I'm assuming that's what these guys are doing. But anyway, another one there is six of these reports are attributed to clutter. So I'm assuming to again like more junk, plastic bags and birds and bugs, lens flares or some shit like the usual stuff. Anyway, so to continue on, initial characterizations does not mean positively resolved or unidentified. This initial characterization better enables Aero and ODNI to efficiently and effectively leverage resources against the remaining 171 uncharacterized and unattributed UAP reports. Some of these uncharacterized UAP appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities and require further analysis. So I'm thinking these are the ones here that where they are defying all logic, that they're actually maneuvering in a way that obviously our conventional crafts that we are aware of publicly cannot do. So that's 171 of those, which is interesting. That's still quite a lot of unknowns. The majority of the new UAP reporting originates from US Navy and US Air Force. Where's the Marines and the Army? Let's start again. So the majority of the new UAP reporting originates from US Navy and US Air Force aviators and operators who witnessed UAP during the course of their operational duties and reported the events to the UAP Task Force, and Aero through official channels. Regardless of the collection or reporting method, many reports lack enough detailed data to enable attribution of UAP with high certainty. So that's a big problem in itself there. Obviously, there could have been potentially something there, but because there was lack of detail or, information or the way they reported it, obviously was nothing that they could really go by, or it's just, a strange light in the sky. That's it. Obviously, Venus, for a good example, or, the ISS going over. That's a perfect example of something that can't be reported, detailed enough, like from people who want to just go, hey, look, I've seen a light go across the sky, and that was basically it. That's my understanding of that, which is where I always push the, you're going to need to treat things like a proper report, like a police report, like it's just someone's been murdered, what time, dates, locations, what did the object do, what did it look like, what maneuvering did it do, or, what directions it take. Stuff like that, the stuff that's really going to be helpful in trying to figure out what something could be. Basically. But anyway, look, to continue on. Partnerships and collaboration. Oh, here we go. Might have something here. May mention the allies. Let's hope so. ODNI and Aero are committed to the responsible sharing of UAP findings with interagency partners such as FAA and NASA, other stakeholders, congressional oversight, international partners. There we go, international partners, and the public. The public as well. There we go. That's interesting. Aero is working closely with the OSDPA and missions partners to develop an information sharing and messaging strategy that aims to maximize transparency while maintaining appropriate protections of sensitive sources and methods. So, obviously, you can't give out too much there. Then it's got a bit of an example there: birds, weather events, or airborne debris like plastic bags. So I guess that's just going back to the clutter. Yep. So, okay. Yep. All right. So yeah, that's interesting. They mentioned international partners. So let's. It's going to be interesting to find out what Australia's going to say to this one when we sort of throw it in their faces, going, "Hey, look, they're talking to you guys." But anyway, look. Continue on. So ODNI and Aero have maintained communication with their allied partners regarding UAP, keeping them informed of developments and US initiatives. The DoD and IC enterprises are working collaboratively to report, identify, and resolve UAP events. Agencies across the IC have established standard operating procedures that will streamline UAP resolution. For example, Aero's analytic methodology requires a whole of government's approach to resolving UAP events, to include an analyst and science and technology specialists to help resolve UAP events. This is where I sort of feel like people like Mick West I know he's got a bit of flack against him there for the way he goes about things because he's very skeptical. Which honestly, look, we need people like him to, and got to be skeptical. I hate the word skeptical, but I rather call it a more of a critical analysis because like I was mentioning before, things get misidentified. Things can be identified through the right reporting and through the right information, basically. Time, dates, and locations, directions, all sorts of stuff goes a long way in helping what something could possibly be. So, if they're getting these people there, I hope these people are doing these sort of analytic sort of approaches. They obviously they have what was it 427 or something like that I think I mentioned before, or it might have been more than 150. I can't remember now. There's over 100 unknown identified reports there. That's something that these guys are analysts of science and technology specialists, and they can't figure out what they are. Then makes you wonder, what are they seeing? But anyway, to continue, flight safety concerns and health implications. UAP pose a safety of flight and collision hazards to air assets, potentially requiring aircraft operators to adjust flight patterns in response to their unauthorized presence in the airspace, operating outside of air traffic control standards and instructions. To date, there have been no reported collisions between US aircraft and UAP. Regarding health concerns, there have also been no encounters with UAP confirmed to contribute directly to adverse health-related effects to the observers. Yeah, if I remember something there, they were mentioning something. There were some effects that were health-related to the observers. But anyway, acknowledging that health-related effects may appear at any time after any event occurs. It's a strange sentence. Aero will track any reported health implications related to UAP should they emerge. That's an interesting sentence there. Acknowledging that health-related effects may appear at any time after an event occurs. That leaves a lot to be open on that one. But again, so there's as I mentioned, there was no mention of the army. So why is there no mention of the army in these reports? And if the army has, well, I'm quoting here, if they have been in conflict or in relation to these UAPs, well, they've been getting the health effects. What's been going on there. But anyway, again, I'm just opening up ideas here of these little wormholes of loopholes, basically, of what they're trying to say. Whether these people are even in the aircrafts have been getting health effects after something has occurred. That's another thing too. But anyway, summary and way ahead. Summary and way ahead. Okay. UAP continues to represent a hazard to flight safety and pose a possible adversary collection threat. Since the publication of the ODNI preliminary assessment in June 2021, UAP reporting has increased partially due to the concentrated effort to destigmatize the topic of UAP and instead recognize the potential risk that it poses as both a safety of flight hazard and potential adversary activity. Whereas there were previously 144 UAP reports covered during the 17 years of UAP reporting included in the ODNI preliminary assessment on UAPs, there have been 247 more UAP reports during the 17 months since, combined with another 119 reports either discovered or reported late that fell within the original 17-year period but were not included in the preliminary assessment. So a total of 510 UAP reports are currently catalogued. I sort of feel like that's a bit of a piss poor effort there where 17 years, 247 reports during that 17 years. I understand the whole stigma thing was attached to this whole thing, but there was, a bit of conflict there in that regard, whether people want to go and report something anomalous or something strange. So it's understandable, but I sort of feel like over 17 years, that's not that much. 247. I feel like there should have been a lot more. And then Oh, hang on, sorry, I've read that wrong. Or have I? Sorry, yep, I've read that. I've read that wrong. So 144 over 17 years. Yeah, so yeah, that's not that much again. But yeah, since obviously 17 years, and obviously 247 more of that time. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up and keep going because I'm not making sense of myself here. But yeah, I'm sure you understand what I mean. Like, for over 7 years, that's not a lot of reports. And again, yeah, the stigma's attached to it, blah blah blah. But still, not a lot. Anyway, Aero has been established as the DoD focal point for the UAP in an effort to gain fidelity of the nature of UAP and possible risk UAP represents. Congress required the establishment of a central office for all UAP matters in the financial year 2022. NDA, that office formally became operational as the Aero under the USD in July 2022. Aero is the single focal point for the all DoD UAP efforts, leading a whole of government approach to coordinate UAP collection, reporting, and analysis of efforts throughout the DoD, the IC, and beyond to include other government agencies not in the IC, as well as foreign allies, partners of the United States. So again, they're talking to allies, but we get nothing on our end from the Australian side of things, which is absolute bogus. Coordinated efforts between DoD, the IC, and other government agencies to collect and report UFP events have resulted in increased data sets spanning multiple security domains. Aero in coordination with the IC is focused on identifying solutions to manage and alleviate the resulting data problem, including the intake, indexing, visualization, and analysis of the data across multiple security domains. We are confident that continued multi-agency cooperative UAP prosecution activities will likely result in greater awareness of objects in and across the airspace and maritime domains, as well as the nature and origin of UAP in the future. The establishment of Aero and applications of Aero's new analytic process to this detailed reporting will increase resolution of UAP events. So they're trying to figure out the origin of the UAPs, but they're not really admitting to them being adversaries at all. So I guess we'll keep on guessing and waiting to figure out where these UAPs are coming from. So continuing Appendix A, annual report on UAP financial year 2022 NDAA, subsection of section 1683, establishment of office organizational structure and authorities to address unidentified aerial phenomena of the financial year 2022 NDAA. Public Law 11781 listed requirements for annual reports on UAP matters. In the subsection, the term the Director refers to the Director of National Intelligence, and the term the Secretary refers to the Secretary of Defense. The text of the subsection below. One requirement, not later than 31st October 2022. Ha, yeah, well. We all know what happened there. Well, what did happen there? And annually therefore after until 31st October 2026. So at least we could have got 3 years worth out of that. The Director, in consultation with the Secretary, shall submit to the appropriate congressional committees a report on unidentified aerial phenomena. 2 elements. Each report under paragraph 1 shall include, which, with respect to the year covered by the report, the following information. All reported unidentified aerial phenomena related events that occurred during the 1 year period. All reported unidentified aerial phenomena related events that occurred during a period other than that 1 year period, but were not included in an earlier report. C. An analysis of data and intelligence received through each report unidentified aerial phenomena related event. D. An analysis of data relating to unidentified aerial phenomena collected through geospatial intelligence, signal intelligence, human intelligence, and measures and signatures intelligence. The number of reported unidentified aerial phenomena over restricted airspace of the United States during the 1 year period. An analysis of such incidents identified under sub-paragraph E. Okay. Identification of potential aerospace or other threat posed by unidentified aerial phenomena to the national security of the United States. An assessment of any activity regarding unidentified aerial phenomena that can be attributed to one or more adversarial foreign governments. Identification of any incidents or patterns regarding unidentified aerial phenomena that indicate a potential adversary for foreign governments may have achieved a breakthrough aerospace capability. An update on the coordination by the United States with allies and partners in efforts to track, understand, and address unidentified aerial phenomena, and an update on efforts underway on ability to capture or exploit discovered unidentified aerial phenomena. An assessment of any health-related effects for individuals that have encountered unidentified aerial phenomena. The number of reported incidents and descriptions thereof of unidentified aerial phenomena with military nuclear assets, including strategic nuclear weapons and nuclear-powered ships and submarines. In consultation with the Administrator for Nuclear Security, the number of reported incidents and descriptions thereof unidentified aerial phenomena associated with facilities or assets associated with the production, transportation, or storage of nuclear weapons or components thereof. In consultation with the Chairman of Nuclear Regulatory Commissions, the number of reported incidents and descriptions thereof unidentified aerial phenomena or drones of unknown origin associated with nuclear power generating stations, nuclear fuel storage sites, and other sites or facilities regulated by the Nuclear Regulatory Commissions. The name of the line organizations that have been designated to perform the specific functions under Section C and D, and the specific functions for which each line organization has been assigned primary responsibility. Notes here in relation to that. Subsection C references referenced in subsection H, P, or B above is titled Response to and Field Investigations of Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Subsection D referenced in subsection H, P above is titled Scientific, Technological, and Operational Analysis of Data and on Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Right. So my thoughts on that, I think what they mean by that is obviously we know that UAPs have been hovering around a lot of the nuclear sites, like nuclear launch sites, nuclear power stations, stuff like that, because they also have an interest in our nuclear technology. So I'm guessing that obviously these are going to have to go on the reports, whether or not we will get the reports if something has been happening in that nature, if they have had UAP activity around these sort of sites, or even as they mentioned, transports or the powered ships or submarines, something, anything of that nuclear nature. Whether we will get that, I don't know. Let's hope so, because that'll obviously help with the claims back in was it the 80s, 90s or something like, where these UAPs or people claiming these sites of these objects flying around our nuclear sites. So it's interesting as if we'll get that report. So to continue on to Appendix B, Aero establishment of the office and duties for financial year 2022 NDAA. Subsection A of Section 1683, establishment of office organizational structure and authorities to address unidentified aerial phenomena of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2022. Establish an office designated to replace the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, UAPT Task Force, later identified as the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AERO, as established on 20th July 2022. Subsection B of Section 1683 delineated that office duties. The text of these subjections is as follows. Excuse me. My throat's going to be dry. That's a lot of talking. Anyway, establishment of office not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this Act. The Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Director of National Intelligence, shall establish an office within a component of the Department of Defense and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to carry out the duties of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force as in effect on the day before the date of enactment of this Act. Jesus. and such other duties as required by this section. So Section B is the duties. The duties of the office establishment under subsection A shall include the following: developing procedures to synchronize and standardize the collection, reporting, and analysis of incidents, including adverse psychological effects regarding unidentified aerial phenomena across the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. So I'm guessing that's they're meaning that they're getting rid of the stigma that's attached to it. So like the psychological side of things. Not really sure what that really means, to tell the truth. That's my guess. So developing process and procedures to ensure that such instances from each component of the department and each element of the intelligence community are reported and incorporated in a centralized repository, so it's getting more organized. Which is good, because we need organization in this sort of thing. Establishing procedures to require the timely and consistent reporting of such incidences. Interesting enough. So that was 3. Number 4 is evaluating links between unidentified aerial phenomena and adversarial foreign governments. Other foreign governments are non-state actors. Okay. Number 5, evaluating the threat that such incidents present to the United States. 6, coordinating with other departments and agencies of the federal government as appropriate, including the Federal Aviation Administration, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the Department of Homeland Security, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the Department of Energy. Number 7, coordinating with allies and partners of the United States as appropriate to better assess the nature and extent of the unidentified aerial phenomena. Number 8, preparing reports for Congress in both classified and unclassified form, including under Section I. Or is it 1? I don't know. I believe we might be on the last page here. Appendix C, Index of Key Terms. So this report uses the following defining terms. Range failure, defined by US Navy aviators based on observations of UAP, interrupting pre-planning, training, or other military activity in military operating areas or restricted airspace. Interesting. Transmedium objects or devices that are observed to transition between space and the atmosphere or between the atmosphere and bodies of water that are not immediately identifiable. Unidentified aerial phenomena, airborne objects that immediately identify. The acronym UAP represents the broadest category of airborne objects reviewed for analysis. UAP event, a holistic description of an occurrence during which a pilot or air crew witnessed or detected a UAP. UAP incident, a specific part of the event. UAP report, documentation of a UAP event to include verified chains of custody and basic information such as the time, date, location, and description of the UAP. UAP reports including range failure reports and other reporting. So I think that was it. So yeah, basically that's what I was just been saying, like what I mentioned all the time, but like something I say quite often, as the mentioned the last category there for UAP reporting: time, date, locations, and description of the actual UAP. Which is, like I said, the more detail provided, the better they can get a better analysis, a better idea of what it could possibly be, to try and help identify it. And obviously in these guys' case, they need to figure out if it's an adversary of that nature. And so basically if they can figure out what it is, then yeah, all the better. But I also just like I'm trying to say is, for everyone who does have a encounter with a UAP, try and use this as an example to try and give your sighting a bit more credibility and a bit more detailed information so people can understand what it is that you saw, how you experienced it, all that sort of stuff, because we want people to sort of understand what you are seeing. I'm not here to try and discredit anyone's sightings because of that. Obviously, I analyze things here and I try and make things identifiable because that's what you got to do. You got to try and make sure I want to make it so it gives you credibility to your sighting. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to bullshit and by telling you that it's an alien craft just to go and say for the sake of it. I will tell you that I don't know what it is in that term, but I'm not going to tell you it's an alien craft just for the sake of it. No, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not what I do. That's not how I roll. But anyway, back to the report. So look, it's interesting that it didn't really give us much at all. If anything, there's nothing really. It sort of makes you wonder if we will get any more evidence in these previous videos there, like the Nimbus, the Go Fast. It's gonna be quite interesting. Even though the what was that one there with all the drones flying on that ship there? I can't remember. The Kennedy, was it Kennedy? I can't remember now. We need those sort of documents there of what their reports are on that. I feel like we deserve that sort of report in that nature. Like, okay, this is all great. We're getting two different terms. We're getting how they're reporting things. What their involvement is in the whole thing. But I sort of feel like we need to get more reports in regards to what their findings are when they're investigating into these things. But whether or not we will get that, I don't know. But it was interesting there for down about the bottom here there when I was going through these categories there for key terms. Range failer, transmedium objects or devices. For those who want to try and crack into getting reports, unclassified reports from these government agencies or these other agencies and such for the freedom of information. There's some key terms there you can try and use in your claim there for trying to get the freedom of the information there for the unclassified versions. So good luck to you there. That's hopefully it'll help you in tracking down some reports and some stuff. So basically, yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in the report here. It was not much to be expected. Not that I was really expecting much. I wasn't really expecting to say like, yeah, we've got aliens visiting us around here, but again, it's still like, eh. But again, look, it's good to see that we are getting reports, and they are still admitting to the fact that there is something out there that they don't even understand themselves. Where again, whether it's adversaries or not, don't know. People want to claim they're aliens. Well, look, it's open to the possibility. But honestly, look, I want Australia to get on this side of things. So guys, look, if you got to this far through and bear with me, thanks for getting through with this and bearing with me. I hope I haven't bored you too much because of droning through. But guys, help out and try and get in contact with your local members of parliament. Try and push for Australia to get on board with this whole UAP thing. We need it needs to be an involvement worldwide, and if we can try and push through with Australia there, hopefully the UK can go and get involved here, and obviously all the larger nations around the world that can sort of try and jump on board there and start pushing through the reality that these things are out there. People are saying these things. That's the whole idea behind this whole UAP, this whole podcasting thing I do, the whole involvement I do with it, is to try and get an idea out there to the public that these things are out there. People are saying these things. And obviously this whole thing here is what we need to try and push through to, make people realize that these things are out there. The stigma is going. It's going away. This is great. We are losing this stigma that's attached to it. Obviously, we like I keeps mentioning, things are getting misidentified. People are saying things they don't understand, which is fine. Look, there's a lot of things that we don't understand, but we need to make sure that we do a critical analysis of our own sightings, try and figure out what it is there. That way we can get a more credible analysis or report, or citing, something that's genuine, something that's can't be discredited in that nature. I want people to be believed. That's my goal here. I want people to be trusted when they talk about their experiences. But yeah, guys, look, thanks for joining me tonight. It's been great. It's been a long hour here, but we got through it. And again, thanks for pushing through with me if you did get this far. Don't forget to go and leave a like and share this bad boy out there and help us get out there a bit more. And obviously, let me know what you think of the whole report yourself in the comments there. And look, I want everyone's opinions on this whole report. Obviously, we all were expecting a bit more out of this. But let's hope so in the future that we get these quarterly reports and that they actually do get released to the public. So I guess we'll wait and see. There's a lot more to this that we're expecting. We want to expect from this. So let's just hope we get a bit more disclosure out of what's actually going behind these closed doors and start getting a bit more of the classified versions of things that are getting to be released. But anyway, look, guys, don't forget, share this thing out there, leave us a comment there, leave us a like, share it out there, and again, thanks again for tuning in and bearing with me. So yeah, thanks guys, I'll catch you next time. And that will do it, folks, for this episode of Encounters Down Under. I hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, you can also get involved in the show by joining the Facebook page and getting in on the live streams. Also, please be sure to share with your friends and family to help us grow and potentially find our next guest on the show. If you or you know someone who has had an encounter, please get in touch with me through our Facebook page via Messenger or email at australianufosighting@outlook.com.au. I look forward to seeing you on the next Encounter Down Under. Hooroo!